Hello and welcome to FiddleUP. I'm Emerald Ray, and today we're going to be talking about all the different types of foot tapping that you can do while you're playing the fiddle. And for this, I'm going to be using my handy dandy dance shoes and dance board because I have all the fancy things. But you don't actually need any of that. You actually don't need shoes. You could do this in your bare feet. You could do this in your sneakers, your flip-flops, your slippers, whatever. It doesn't matter. As long as you have a comfortable chair that's the right height. Actually, that's kind of the most important thing. You definitely want, a chair with that arm so you can play your fiddle, and you want a chair that's a good distance from the floor so you can do this comfortably. You're gonna be able to sit in good posture so you have your knees hip width apart and all that kind of good posture stuff. So to talk about the foot tapping, I'm going to send you down to my feet. So here we are, down on the floor, and I would like to introduce you to my right foot and my left foot. I'm going to be using my actual right and left foot for this because that's more comfortable for me. So it's going to be backwards for you, but you'll know what I mean. This is not necessarily a follow along video. This is just some tips on how to practice the foot tapping, because it actually is something that's really good to practice all by itself. And you'll see why in a minute. Once you start practicing, you realize how valuable this is actually. And I started consciously practicing my foot tapping at other people's fiddle concerts, so I could sit there and tap my foot and get some exercise into my ankles without worrying about playing the fiddle music myself. Plus, when you're at a fiddle concert, it's really hard not to sit there and tap your foot. So I'm going to start off just with a really light toe tap on my right foot. And then on my left. Now, I'm sure you've done this before, but it's something that's really good to actually sit there and practice because you're using ankle muscles that you wouldn't normally use in everyday life. So I'm going to play a little tune here, and you can play whatever tune you want in your own practice session. And I'm going to practice a few rounds on the right foot and a few rounds on the left foot. It's really nice and easy to do that, and you can use any tune. You could use a jig if you want. I was using a reel there. But you can use any tune. You could go at any speed. You can do this slowly if that is more easy for you. If you're having trouble tapping your foot in time, it's good to always slow things down a little bit more. So that's the toes. So let's move on to the heel. And when you do a heel click, you want to make sure that you're just doing a little half an inch underneath your heel. You don't need to go crazy, with lifting up. So I see people when they're just getting used to that movement at first, they exaggerate, because it might be something that you're not used to doing at all, because why would you do that? So if you're not used to clicking your heel or tapping your heel, then this is a good chance to practice that. So I'll play the same tune, and we'll do the right and left heel. So that's that, and that's very simple. That's something that you can always use. A lot of people just only use that. They only use a little heel click. That's kind of basic, I would say, for any fiddle player. I would say at a bare minimum, make sure you can do a toe tap and a heel tap, and make sure that you can do them in different instances as well. But so there's different types of foot tap that come up in different styles of music. So generally in Scottish and Irish music and all of their other different cousins around the world, you're going to see toe taps and heel taps. But then, things kind of get slightly more complicated in terms of what's normally done. A heel tap is a lot heavier. It uses your whole leg. So it's kind of, you'll see a heel tap in a situation where it's kind of a natural thing to do when you're playing a lot of heavy dance music and there's a lot going on and you need a lot of power. A toe tap is a lot softer, it's a lot quieter, and it's a lot less energy. And again, it's just using your ankle. Your whole leg really isn't involved. So it can be kind of stealthy. So it can actually be that when you're playing sort of softer, quieter music, you'll end up naturally falling into a toe tap. So it's good to think about the different vibes. And you can actually mix them up as well. I have seen this happen specifically in Irish music where I've seen many players who will do a heel on their right foot and a toe on their left. And so, and you could do this the other way as well. But we'll just do the right heel and the left toe for today. And so that would be using exactly the same tune, which happens to be an Irish reel anyway. You would do something like this. So you might actually see that now. You might actually notice that one. That's one that I've seen in Irish music. Another one that I've seen in both Irish and Scottish music, but maybe slightly more used for Irish music and for strass bass in Scottish music, is a little bit of a toe bounce. And I'm going to use my right foot for this. So this is a toe bounce, looks like this. And it's just it's kind of a flap. It's kind of funny, like as a dancer, you kind of call that a flap with your toe. So I'm bouncing on all 4 beats, but I'm only tapping on the other 2 beats. So it's 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and. So you would use this in something like a strass bay or something like that. And that's a single bounce, but if you're going to add that extra bounce in there, you would go so that's not a terribly common one, but it's a very basic one. So that's why I wanted to add that into the beginning. So along the same lines as that toe heel thing that we were talking about before, there is a very common toe tap in Cape Breton music, and it's called a rock. And so it would be generally the right foot, although you can use the left foot if you're left-handed or left-footed. So this is generally what you see in Cape Breton music, actually. You'll see pretty much every Cape Breton fiddle player using this foot tap. And that is a heel and a toe. So it rocks back and forth. So in terms of having a tune going at the same time, it would sound like this. So, and, you might see that kind of, you might see a little toe tap happening on the left side as well. Or maybe, some kind of variation of that. But that little rock back and forth on the right foot is so ubiquitous in Cape Breton music. It's unbelievable. It's kind of like if you're gonna learn Cape Breton music, you have to learn that rock because you won't be taken seriously otherwise. So, and I think it's related to or coming from the Quebecois, what they call podorythmie, which means foot rhythm, foot tapping. That's how they refer to the foot tapping in Quebecois music, which is a step up from that. So it's sort of like the rock, but what's happening is you're going to use your left foot as well. And so you're getting this little triple step that's happening, which sounds like this. And so this is right toe, left toe, whole right foot. Okay, so that is going to take some practice before you jump into a tune. That is not something that you will get out of nowhere. It takes a lot of practice. It takes a lot of getting into the legs before you get used to that. But I'll just show you what that sounds like with one of the Canadian tunes that I have in the advanced course, which is a little bit of a crooked tune, so you can see what it sounds like with that. So if you're listening to Quebecois music of any sort, you won't be able to avoid hearing this. Every Quebecois band has somebody in the band who has exactly what I have here, the little leather bottom shoes and the dance board here. So if you listen to some Quebecois music, you will be able to see how built into the music that type of foot tapping is. And then from there, I am certainly not an expert at this, but you can add lots of different rhythms like that into the Quebecois foot tapping. So there's lots of different things that you can do with all of that. And I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you enjoy your own foot tap journey. And I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much.